long have you did you live on the lake here? How long have you been living on the lake?
8 years?
8 years.
I think about 8 years.
About 8 years?
Outside of the 2 years that we were away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe 6 years.
It took us 20 years to find this spot. We did a lot of researching all over Manitoba before we found the exact spot we were looking for,
Yeah.
and this was it.
You were probably pretty excited 8 years ago when you landed here.
Oh yes, yes. I saw the first sunset, and that was it. I said to my husband, this is the place for us.
Yeah.
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 It was-
We just happened to find the Sandpiper area on the internet. And then Joanne and I came out to find the place. And when we found it, Joanne saw the sunsets here.
Like I said, I've been looking for 20 years for a place, and we sat in the porch of the old cottage, and I watched the sun go down, and I thought, this is it. I said to my husband, this is the one. This is what I've been waiting for.
2011 in May, we had a real problem with the water being a little high and the wind coming right at us, and we ended up getting wiped out here.
So, Doug and Joanne, tell me a little bit more about that evacuation process. What happened?
When we left here, we went down to the municipal office, and it was a little chaotic. We asked whether they were evacuating or not, and they said they had the fire chief out, and he was going to report back and tell them whether or not they had to evacuate. And I said, well, you have to evacuate Echo Bay for sure in the Marina Row area because the waves are coming over the houses.
Well, as a matter of fact, the day that we evacuated, remember, I had 2 nurses here. I had just got out of the hospital, remember, a week before that.
And the nurses...
The nurses were packing my wounds, and they said, they looked out the window and they said, I think you people are going to be evacuated. Doug, you better come and learn how to do this packing for your wife because you're going to be doing it on your own. In the meantime, he was outside using a pump, trying to pump the water over top of the sandbags, which was useless at the time. But
we were fighting a losing battle against Lake Manitoba with my little sump pump.
Yeah, so when the ladies finished, they went to leave and they couldn't get out because the water was already all over the ground. So he helped one of them walk along the sandbags to her car and pretty much carried the other nurse.
She had leather sandals on, and she couldn't walk through with her leather sandals, so I helped her and sort of ushered her into the door of her car and got her in there. And then I came back in and asked Joanne, maybe we should pack a bag. So she put a bag together in the bedroom. In
the bedroom. When I came out, it was like we were on a boat.
A houseboat.
We had water all around us. The waves were slapping at the walls. And I looked up, and all you could see was black waves coming, and hitting the windows. It was probably one of the scariest experiences we had ever seen. So he carried me to the car, carried all my supplies because
all our bandages, a couple of cardboard boxes full of bandages, and the one bag that we packed.
Yes.
And then
got into
the
car,
rubber
and that's
boots on.
when we went to the municipal offices. And after we had checked in there, we came back. There was a little boy in the house. He answered the door, and Doug said, "Where's your parents?" And he said, "Well, they're looking at the flood." He said, "Do they have a cell phone?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Well, get them on the cell phone. You can't be in this house by yourself." So we left their place and started checking all the other houses and went over to
Marina Row.
Marina
Road. And then they asked the neighbors over there what they were doing, and they said, well, we think we can stay, and we told them not.
Absolutely not.
Said we have to get out. And we had the evacuation notice already that they had just started running off on the copier down at the municipal office.
That's right.
And then they told us that they thought that they might be evacuating.
Yeah.
So I got a number for the Red Cross when we got it into our truck and drove out of here with the waves, the height of the hood of the truck.
The water was too high. It had already gone past here and was
about a quarter mile
up. It was awful. And the neighbors were finally leaving. They were leaving shortly after we were.
Yep.
We drove into the city, freezing cold, Doug
Yeah.
phoned the,
I phoned the Red Cross on the way. They asked that I go to an evacuation center, and I said no. We're going to a hotel that I knew my bearings at because I knew that Joanne needed some medical care. So we did that, and we went to the Canadian on Pembina Highway. And they said that they would set up arrangements for us for the following morning for medical care.
which they did.
Which they did.
They were
very
very,
good about
very
it.
good.
Very
Yeah.
well organized.
And then the next day you had to go to the welfare office to figure out.
Yes. That was the next thing that they told us. Go to an office on Pembina and Stafford and line up with the other people. It was the income security
Social assistance office.
social assistance office, and you had to register there. So I registered there, and they issued me a check, I think, right away, and asked where we were staying and our contact phone numbers, and then
We actually thought that we might get back in here. We didn't know. We didn't know what was
That's right.
going on. Then they told us that nobody was allowed back, and they were putting guards up and down the roads,
set up roadblocks
security,
everywhere.
so that nobody would be allowed back because it was too dangerous. We were really taken aback. We didn't know what we'd lost.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us in here at all for about 2 weeks. By that time, the water had receded enough for us to come in.
Yeah, there
And
was-
we opened up the crawl space. I had a contractor come in, tear out the siding of the crawl space.
It was a horrible, horrible
Experience.
experience for anybody to ever have to deal with. And when we got back here, there was tires laying all over. Our wood box that was full of wood had floated away, and it was like a canoe about 3 houses down, just sitting there in the mud.
In somebody's yard.
Everything was covered in mud. Oh, it was an awful mess.
There was carp swimming
Around
on
our
our
house.
sidewalks.
It
And
was
carp
wonderful.
in our driveway, 2-foot carp.
Yeah,
They'd come
swimming
up the ditch
around.
and they were swimming around everywhere.
Planks to get into the house.
And they were suggesting that we could perhaps move back in.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah.
Then what happened was they started erecting a dike. We decided, they told us, okay, if you can get a property, a rental property in the city, you could move your furniture into that rental property. So we secured a place to live, and then we got a moving van, and we came here to start moving. But they had started building a dike on our roadway, and we couldn't get in.
Yeah.
So we couldn't back down at all to come across the dike to get into the driveways. It was just one big mud pit. We finally got them to give us enough mud to make a temporary road, and we moved all the furniture out that we could get at the time into the truck, and we moved into the city. But we left a lot of stuff in the garage
Yeah. And the sheds.
and the sheds.
It was, we
and
still don't know what we're missing.
some of it would actually floated away.
Yeah.
We saw a woman about 3 weeks later. She asked us whether we had seen her winter tires.
And we had.
She thought that they floated by, and we think that we had seen them.
I think the day of the flood, I saw those tires because I said, look at somebody's tires.